All right, welcome to this episode of the Fit for Fortune podcast, where we talk about health, fitness, looking good, success, and hopefully an overlap of these things. I'm your host, David Mirza, and here's Thom Sykes with me. Tom and I met maybe 4 years ago at the seminar. We haven't seen each other since, but we have this beautiful online friendship where we're like cheerleaders for each other, and actually we're meeting in the end of the month for the first time. I think he's one of the most genuine, nice people I know, and one of the few participants in the fitness space that is purely here to help people and for nothing else, really. And he's really good at it with amazing client results. He himself is one of those people that is just constantly progressing without making a big deal out of it, but you can tell from the outside that his business is always growing and evolving, and he himself as well, relentlessly either building muscle or losing body fat, but he's never just flatlining. So, first of all, let's talk about your business conglomerate now. So what is TS Health and Fitness? What's Thrive, which is the new offering, and what's Empire, which is at the gym, right?
Mate, you didn't tell me you were going to give me some sort of introduction like that. I'm nearly crying here. Thanks so much for that. Thanks for that. Honestly, that means the world to me. And honestly, thank you very much for inviting me to be on. It was genuinely, I'll start with a little story. My entire life, growing up as a kid, I used to watch skateboard videos all the time, and there was a section on these videos called Day in the Life. And I always used to think, I want to become someone that's interested enough that people would either want to hear what I have to say and what I think about, or they would want to follow me about for a day. So the fact that you've asked me to be on here, genuinely, it means a lot to me. And it's been like a childhood dream of mine. Genuine.
Definitely interesting enough.
Yeah, well, thank you. So to answer your question, TS Health and Fitness was something that I set up 7 years ago now, coming up for 8. I knew it was going to be a personal trainer approach, but I didn't want to call myself a personal trainer because I found at that time there was this weird, what would the word be, people just made judgment if you said you were a personal trainer. Everybody just thought you were going to be a certain way. You were trying to sleep with all your female clients. It was just it wasn't a good title to have. So I called it TS Health and Fitness. I kind of came from a strength and conditioning background, so I knew I was going to be able to help people with aspects of fitness. And then I was obsessed with fat loss, like I always have been. And I actually said this to someone the other day, and I don't know if it is the full truth or the whole justification for the fat loss thing, but my mum always really struggled with fat loss. And I kind of I don't know if maybe I just wanted to figure out what the solution to fat loss was so I could then tell her. But then I ended up trying to coach her, and it was horrendous.
Never works.
Sorry, Mum, if you do listen to this. But the other thing was, the good thing that I learned from that is how deeply ingrained habits and behaviors can be for people and how important that is within fat loss. So I did learn a lot from my mum. So thanks, Mum, for that. And sorry if I've upset you. But TS Health and Fitness it's a personal training company, online and in person. We don't just deal with health and fitness. We touch a lot on lifestyle. We touch a lot on just you as an individual. And me, a big thing for me is I want people to be able to be themselves. I want people to be able to just not worry about what everybody else thinks they should be doing or what they're being told to do. And they listen to that little voice that's in their heart, that's in their gut, that's in their mind, that the little conversations you have when you're on your own. And people listen to them and take whatever steps they need to allow that to blossom or flourish or thrive. And that's where Thrive came from. So TS Health and Fitness is the company. We've had 4 personal trainers work under the brand. We've ran clothing stuff. We've done 6-week health journeys. And again, I called it a health journey, not like a shred or a challenge, because I think shreds, challenges feed into this negative relationship with health and fitness. But I kept finding that they would turn into shreds and challenges, so I've kind of shifted away from it. And then Thrive is the personal training side of the business, if that makes sense now. So instead of calling it online coaching, it's called Thrive. And anybody that is listening, you'll know that it feels cheesy to say. It feels a bit gross to say, oh, I'm thriving, or I want you to thrive. It does. It really does. But the truth is, I want it to be like inside yourself. Like if you're someone that's wanting a bit more from life, you're wanting to like be a bit happier, sleep a bit better, manage your stress, potentially meet new people that are like more like-minded than you, like to you than what your current friends are. Like that's what it encompasses. Like the word thrive just touches on absolutely everything that I was doing before as an online coach. That one of my clients says I should call it thrive because they noticed how good they were feeling working with me. But I was like, I'm not fucking calling my thing thrive. Like it's gross. Like it's such a horrible thing to say. And then I kept saying it, and then I kept saying things like, don't just diet, thrive. Don't just live, thrive. Like, and I was like, it does mean something. Like it means more than just online coaching, personal training, fat loss, getting fitter. So like TSL Fitness is the business, Thrive is the coaching product, and then Empire. Empire is my gym. I took over from the previous owner, which was called Empire, but it's now Empire by TS Health and Fitness. So it's just like my version of it. And the plan with that was to try and create a place that makes, and this has always been the goal, right? The goal's always been to help people, but I needed to try and figure out a way to make health and fitness cool. And I wanted to create like a space that feels safe, it feels welcoming, and has a cool quality about it. And I think that's where we're doing a pretty good job in Empire with that. There's always pretty like good music on, whether you come in the morning and there's like gold radio. In the afternoon, it goes to almost like, it kind of has like an Ibiza dance feel. And then later on the night, the music gets a little bit louder, and it's pretty busy all day. Like, do you know, like, so David, you'll be able to testify to this. Gyms get really busy from like 5 a.m. till say 8 o'clock. Everyone then goes to work. And then from like 4 o'clock till 9 o'clock or whatever, it's really busy. We have like I think the average is just under 20 people per hour just now. And we don't have like mega busy times at like peak times. So Empire is, I'd like to, again, it sounds cheesy, like first steps to fitness. It's a place that's a low ticket cost, let's say, a way to get involved with TS Health and Fitness. It works out about just over £1 a day. So being in that environment that's TS Health and Fitness, it's like first steps to get there. It's the cheapest way, and you get to be around what I'm trying to create. So yeah, that's, I think, and I hope that answers how it all ties together as well.
Yeah, thank you. So if we circle back to making health and fitness cool, do you think throughout the time that you've been coaching, social media and everything has made it cooler already, or do we still need to work on that?
Right, so this is the thing that's shit, and when I say this, you'll laugh and you'll agree with it, right? What happens is, like, everything in the fitness industry goes from one extreme to the other. It's like, don't care about your health and fitness, really care about your health and fitness. And whichever side you end up catching up with, or for me, because I'm never on trend, like I'm always late, it's too late for me, and it shoots to the opposite. So like, when people, like you'll see all these gym girls that are like full blown into training, they start recording themselves, and then everyone's like, who the fuck do they think they are, filming themselves in the gym? And then it'll go to the point of like, people don't really care about it. They don't want to put any effort in. They then see that they don't really make any progress. So they then start to shift back towards the side of really caring. I think the internal battles of the fitness industry are never going to let it like broadly be cool, but I think it's definitely becoming a little bit more popular in a sense of like, people now get dressed nicely, or they put a bit more effort into what they wear to go to the gym. People go to socialize there. It's like, I wouldn't say it's like the new pub, but people go to socialize a bit more. They go to like kind of hang out. Some gyms have got like coffee machines and little cafe areas. The thing that I think is hard, David, is I think everyone wants the things to look like it's not that hard for them. They want to have this kind of like laid back, like, I can do this, like this is easy for me. Like, a lot of people don't want to be seen trying hard. And I think maybe that's what I want to try and like make cool, as opposed to like health and fitness, because like being healthy is never going to become untrendy. And people that are listening, and I'm sorry if I upset you, like, people want to look healthy because healthy is normally more attractive. Like, it's taboo to be attracted to someone that's unwell, that's ill. Like that's like a fetish thing. That's like something in a different world. Whereas if someone's just like healthy, happy, a bit more confident, it doesn't have to be confidence, maybe it's more confidence than confident, if that makes sense. Comfortable in their own skin. The norm, that's going to be attractive for a human being. And does that make sense?
Kind of, I guess.
So is it cool? It's definitely cooler than what it used to be. And I think there's maybe because there's a bit more, one, inclusivity in exercise, and then two, there's not just bodybuilding. It used to just be bodybuilder. It used to just be string vests, big baggy trousers. Like, it's kind of broadened a bit now. There's people doing CrossFit, high rocks, cross training. There's people doing different types of classes, whether they be like aerobics, they're circuits, they're maybe higher intensity. There's people doing just lifting weights. There's people trying to get stronger. And because of the internet, because of the more information out there, people are trying to do things a little bit better. I think people do confuse themselves a little bit, but is it cooler? In my world, it's very cool. It's like the coolest thing going, but it's definitely more popular, I feel. Does that make sense?
I also think it depends on where you are. Obviously, you're up in Scotland, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I think back of my, let's say, childhood town, which is smaller, much smaller than where you are from, actually. But here in the big city in London, I think it's getting cooler, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, in my hometown, people are maybe a little bit more going with the tradition, and changes reaching them maybe a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And still, going to the pub is remaining cooler.
Yeah. If you were to compare them, the two to each other, I don't know actually where I'm from now. So I live in quite a big town. It's not a city, but I live in quite a big
population?
23,500.
Okay.
So it's not. It's the biggest town in Angus.
Tiny, right?
It's the biggest town in Angus. But you got to remember the population of London is the same as Scotland.
It's smaller than my hometown in Hungary.
Yeah. So, but in Scotland, it's obviously Edinburgh, Glasgow, Perth. Like they've got like bigger. In Aberdeen, they've got bigger populations. But in Angus, we've got the largest population. But there's not like a great nightlife here now, which is a shame because we used to have a lot. We had 3 nightclubs. We used to have the most pubs per square mile, maybe Scotland, maybe UK. There used to be loads. Loads. It's not the same there. Here's a fun fact for you. I don't know if you know this. It's like 14.8% of the UK have gym memberships. I don't know if you knew that. And that's massively brought up by London. Because a way higher percentage of people in London have gym memberships. I don't think it's way higher, but I think it's a fair bit higher, significantly higher. And I would definitely agree. But it's like London's, I'll probably offend people here. In London, I bet the level of intelligence or like IQ is slightly higher, so people understand and know that looking after your health is important. And again, that'll just be due to like the job opportunities that are there. Like it'll attract people that are more academic or people that are just more intelligent. I also think as well with like people commuting, they probably notice how unfit they are, whether they're on a bike, scooter, walking, going up and down some stairs. You know, like commuting's far more popular. Like up here, you can just jump on. You can walk 5 minutes and you're on a train. You can jump a minute and you're in your car. Like I bet commuting will maybe like highlight it for people more. And then because a lot of people down there probably work in offices, they realise like I'm sat about all day. I should probably do something. But that's me.
Plus
just
larger disposable income you can spend on PTs,
exactly.
blah blah.
Yeah.
So if we shift to these busier London people, actually the super busy people, let's say, kind of my clientele, what do you think they should really focus on for the best improvement for health and body composition, keeping in mind that they are super busy?
I think exercise is like everybody should be doing exercise. Whether you care about your body composition, whether you're really struggling to lose fat, like still have exercise in your life. Like don't look at it as a tool for fat loss. Exercise is just so beneficial for endorphins, mental clarity. it can set you up. It can set you up for the day if you do it first thing, and it can also like help you wind down at the end of the night. Like it's a thing that your body wants to be doing. And someone that is overweight that exercises will outlive or has like a longer life expectancy than someone that's in even somewhat decent shape but doesn't exercise, or slim, or even have a healthy BMI, I think it is. So exercise, I think if you're just way too busy for anything, just try and get that like half an hour per day. And it could be anything. I think it's just as long as it's above walking. Like it's a little bit sweaty, a little bit hot. You have to train a little bit harder. You don't have to be like grunting and roaring or absolutely dripping with sweat, but just get your heart rate going, get your muscles pumping or burning a little bit. I would say that's like everybody should be doing that. Now, if you're looking for body composition, the unfortunate thing with this is it's like me trying to say to someone that's uber successful, just like, what one thing should I do to be a millionaire? Like they'll say there's so many different things. Like having or earning a phenomenal physique is going to take more than just one thing. You're probably going to have to get a few things right. And if I was to prioritize them, although I'm saying everybody should exercise, I'm hoping that these people are already doing some sort of exercise. The next thing would be your nutrition. And if you don't have time to prep or plan and you've got a bit of money and you really are serious, try and look at like a meal prep company or something. But if you have the time and say you have like a Sunday to prep, a few days meals, try and get a few of them sorted. And the thing is, and you, David, I'm sure you'll have had clients, you don't need to prep all 21, every single meal that you're going to have over the week. As long as you get like 80% of your meals all right, you're going to be fine. You just need to have somewhat restraint with the calories that you're taking in and the meals that you're having. Like you can still go out and eat, but keep the calories somewhat in control. You don't have to like go out and be like, oh, well, I'm out tonight, so I'll have that quadruple cheeseburger with the bacon, with the loaded fries. I'll have a dessert as well. Like you don't have to do that. You can still just go out. You can get something that still tastes good, but just go for like the bog standard version of it and just accept that it's probably going to be between 700 and 1,000 calories. So exercise, keep yourself exercising. And then the next step would be like put your focus in on nutrition. Ask for help. That's another thing that I would say. You're saving time. You're saving the research time.
Especially for the super busy, I guess.
Yeah.
It's easier not to try and hack it yourself, but invest into someone that can crack it for you.
Yeah, and I guess like one of the questions that you were going to ask me that I read over that my mind started going a billion miles an hour was like some of the traits of like the most successful people that I've ever worked with. And this is going to make me sound like a total control freak, or I don't know, like I've got some sort of God complex, but the trait is the people that do exactly what I say. Like I'm not giving people cookie cutter plans. What I'm doing is I'm listening to what you're telling me, and then I'm piecing in what you need to do. And the people that just do exactly what I say get the best results every single time. But the thing, and you'll understand this as well, there are fat loss phases, there are recovery and reverse diet phases, there are maintenance phases, there are gaining phases, there are competition phases, there's peaking phases, there's phases for everything, and each one of these are slightly different. So it's not like I'm just going to say do the same thing forever and I'll see you next month or next week whenever I check in with you. It's, right, we're going to do this for this long. The reason we're doing that is because you maybe don't only have that amount of time, you've maybe only got that. Like maybe you can only do that for that length of time. Like, David, you read a lot, you study a lot, you go to seminars, you practice it yourself, you probably listen to podcasts, you probably watch Days in the Life of people, you probably outsourced yourself and found mentors. There's a reason that we do that. It's to make coaching better for the people that come and work with us. And that's like tying that in, like having a plan, following through with it, and having like the right person in your corner. It'll just save you time and make it a lot easier to get in better shape and to live a healthier lifestyle. But when we come back to that, I'll go into some more of the traits that people have that makes them successful.
Yeah, just circling back to the different phases, I find that especially the super busy, especially the very type A clients always have this trouble with slowing things down. And sometimes you have to slow things down. Sometimes you have to step off the gas and they're just not really willing to do it and just try to blast through it, and it never works.
Yeah. So the analogy that I always use is like whatever their goal is like pushing a rock up a mountain. And they're pushing it and they're pushing it. And then all of a sudden life gets busy. So when you're pushing this rock, maybe a storm comes in. Maybe there's a little avalanche sort of thing under your feet. So instead of just like letting the rock go and roll right down at the bottom, you just sit still for a bit. You just sit, put your back against it. You sit there and you're like, right, we'll let this storm pass. And then we're going to turn around and we're going to start pushing up again. But sometimes people don't want to hear that.
No, I love that. Let's go straight into what you brought up, actually. So what are the traits of clients that are most successful at getting to the goals, other than finding a coach, a competent one, and listening to them?
The first one definitely has to be open-minded. That they're willing to hear a different way to do than what they've tried 1,000 times and it's never worked. That's definitely one of them. Something that I've noticed with a lot of people, and I honestly, I hate it, and I'm sure we're going to probably talk about this later on, like, there's clients that I've had that I've just never got that sentence to them that's made what I do make sense or trigger that thing in their head that they're like, right, I need to do this. And they're like, I can't do this. And you're like, there's more ways to do it. There's more ways to do this than the way I've just suggested. There's people that like start and they're like, just, why am I not doing this? Why are we not doing that? And you spend more time like either like kind of arguing with them or trying to justify why you've pieced together your plan than what they could be just putting effort in to just do the thing.
Yeah, these are one of the most sort of, I'm sorry, but the most infuriating clients. One type when you're expected to put in the work, justify the work, and they're just like standing on the sidelines, not even giving it a try, and you're putting so much more effort into it than they are. The other one is the not open-minded one, as you said, because the whole reason you reach out to a coach is because you've tried certain things and they didn't work.
Yeah.
So if you propose something else, maybe let's try that as well, because the same thing that didn't work will keep not working.
Yeah, and you feel like, or I always feel like a bit of an arsehole when I say this, like, you say to them, like, look, we could keep going round the way that you want to, which you know didn't work the last time. I know is not going to work. You've paid me to give you advice to get you to do something that does work. So we could waste 2-3 weeks letting you run your own thing. I get paid for no work whatsoever. Then we change it. You see that it's a bit slower progress, but it actually will last longer, or you'll be able to do it for longer. And by that point, you've done 4 weeks, but you've only got 1 week of progress, and then you think that the 4 weeks was unsuccessful. Like, you do feel, or I feel like a bit of an arsehole. Sometimes you do have to say, right, let's do it your way. You give them a week. Okay, that didn't work. Can we try it my way now? But you sound like a bit of a dick when you say it, however you say it.
You call it asshole, I call it authority, really. I think you're striking this perfect balance of being like, calling them out enough that you're not an asshole, but not a pushover. I love it. And that's where, well, we will get to some quotes that I found from you, and some of them I really, really love because of this. Okay, and what do you think the traits of clients are the most successful at keeping body fat off?
Okay, so I've got a bit of a cop-out here, okay? So I know what the traits are. There's 7 of them. There's 7 traits.
Defined by?
So they done research. Have you ever seen the show Biggest Loser?
Yes.
Right, so 95% of contestants on The Biggest Loser regain 110% of their body weight.
Ouch.
So what they've done is they took the 5%, and they found out what they'd done. And now I can't remember all 7 off the top of my head, but I can try and somewhat remember them. So the first one was some sort of measuring and accountability. So whether they track their calories, whether they track their scale weight, whether they take measurements, like something. And for me personally, I've always just found taking scale weight, but scale weight doesn't impact me. And if it doesn't impact the client, I'll get them to just keep taking scale weight, because it gives you pretty quick feedback. If your scale weight jumps up more than a kilo overnight, you've eaten way too much. So you need to pull it down a little bit. That was one. Number 2, I think, was exercise. Number 3 was cognitive restraint. So whether they have the restraint to like, right, that's me eating enough today, or I've eaten enough of that fun food for this week, or that's my calories capped, I'm going to stop there. A social circle was the other one. Like they had like people around them that were in a similar position. I don't know if you knew this as well, that if you're someone that has an obese friend, you are 50% more likely to be obese. And if you have a friend that has an obese friend, you're still 25% more likely to be obese. That's
insane.
So I gave you 4. There is actually like 13 or 14. It's in Lane Norton's book. You know Dr. Lane Norton, or Bio Lane?
Yeah.
It's in his book. But those 4, the ones that I always remember, they're the ones that like I've noticed with clients. The other ones, again, the book, I've just had these bookshelves built. So all my books are just like all over the place.
I remember last time it was a little bit busier in the background.
Yeah.
The social circle is crazy. Do you know that... so in the Vietnam War, all the US military, like all the soldiers, like some crazy amount was doing heroin, I think. Like maybe, I don't know, 50% of soldiers. And you know, the recovery rate for like heroin addicts is very disappointing. Like they go into rehab and there's like a 90% rebound rate or something.
Yeah.
Whereas after the Vietnam War, these soldiers came back and pretty much nobody did heroin back home, simply because it was a different environment, right? And this is the same for fat loss as well. If your setup at home is not changing, if you're keeping the same sort of foods around, if you're having the same triggers around you, if you're surrounded by the same people, it's very hard to change.
Yeah. There's a thing that they do with like drug and alcohol users. One of the first things that they sometimes try to do is just to get them to move their living room around. So the furniture's in like different positions. And what they'll do is like they'll find like they'll maybe have like a favorite glass or a cup or like, and they'll get rid of that. Like they tell them to get rid of that. And it just like those little things seem to completely change all these habits and behaviors that are around you. I think it is surreal. The humans are insane. Fascinating.
But it makes sense because you have to make so many micro decisions in a day that most of them have to be ingrained. Like everything's like an automatic process.
Yeah.
Because just like software running in your head, because if you consciously had to make all those decisions, you would just break down. Like imagine right now I would have to decide to blink. I would have to keep deciding to hover my finger over the mute button. So habits need to form, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, the most, a little bit upsetting experience for me was that obviously we recently broke up with Robin. I still live in the same apartment. And for the longest time, my brain kept expecting her. You know, like she always used to sit and work in the same place. And whenever I came home, whenever I came out of the bathroom, I obviously knew that we broke up, right? But my brain was still expecting her to be sitting there. And until you like, I don't know what it's like, remyelinate the nerves or whatever, send a different signal down a different path, it will want to keep taking the same path, you know?
Yeah.
On the other hand, when you want to disrupt these sequences, even little changes like you just listed for these alcoholics actually are enough to disrupt.
Yeah. I actually got a book and I wish I'd like completely committed to reading it. It's called The Physiology of Behavior. And it talks about what happens in the brain. I got it in a charity shop and it's absolutely brilliant. And there's a section in there about disordered eating disorders and obesity. Yeah. So I marked it and I'm going to try and read it over the weekend.
Have you read The Power of Habit? Charles Duhigg, or I don't know how to pronounce his name.
No. But
it's really good. I much prefer it to Atomic Habits, actually.
Power of Habits. Let me just jot that down.
Yeah. I can send it over after.
I'll forget to ask you for it.
No, I will send it. So next question, what is something you wish more people understood about dieting?
Right, there's 3 things here because I just actually glanced at my phone and seen that question. I'll list off the three, and then if we can come back round to them, that'd be brilliant. So 1, it takes time. I wish people could just accept that it's going to take time. 2, it's a phase, it's not forever. And then the third one, it can be easier than what they think. Like fat
Is there a third one?
Yeah, fat loss and dieting can be way more easier than what people think. Like most people out there, if you're listening and you're someone that's tried dieting, you've probably tried to do 6 or 7 workouts in a week. You've probably tried to do 20,000 steps in a day. You've probably tried cutting carbs out. You've probably tried taking your favorite foods out. You've probably done something very extreme, very hard, but like short term, really, really intense. And it gave you back like this. And this is the other thing. It gives people like that bit of gratification and dopamine because they've gone hell for leather. But then the next day they wake up, they're really fucking sore. They don't have time to do the 20,000 steps again. They can't work out. And then they just like throw the toilet, like they're just like, I can't do it. They throw the towel in and they give up. Like, you can make it quite easy. It lets time pass that a little bit quicker, so it doesn't feel like you're dieting forever. Because, well, 1, it's quite comfortable, it's easy. You see progress consistently. And then like it makes time go a little bit quicker. And then you actually can have a bit of a life. And then you don't miss out on seeing your friends, and you don't miss out on going out for dinner or having drinks or going to that nightclub or going to that rave or partying all weekend because you wanted to stay up and do recreational drugs or whatever you ended up doing. Like, those things can still fit in. People try and take it a bit too extreme. So that would definitely be my 3 things. It takes time, like no matter what, there is no shortcut. However, there is a most direct route. Like, and how much you're willing to restrict will determine how quick you get there. But there is an amount that you can restrict and get away with and manage and will do and are willing to do. Like, there is a shortcut as such, but it's hard. Have you ever done any rapid fat loss protocols or?
No, not really. I've had clients on similar principles when they're like coming up to a photo shoot, but it wasn't the whole thing, rapid fat loss. And I think I've done it maybe with 1 or 2 like obese clients to kick them off with, but just for a few weeks. Yeah,
it takes time. It's not forever. Like, that's the thing. Like, fat loss is a phase. I wish I could like keep telling people this, because everybody says fat loss needs to be sustainable. It needs to be sustainable to a point, like 12, 16 weeks maybe. Like, and that's if you can diet for that long. If you can only do 2 weeks, do 2 weeks. If you can do 2 days, do 2 days. And then you back off the gas. As long as you can maintain when you back off and you don't undo it, you're then going to be like maintaining is progress for you, because you've dropped a few pounds, you've maybe taken a bit of fat off, you maintain it, that's you progressing, because you're not regaining or you're not restarting. And then you go again, and then you keep doing that. I can diet for a long time. Like, I don't really have much of an association now to, I still love food. I'd still call myself a foodie, but like, if I don't get it, I don't care. I like results. I like progress. Like, I can do it for a while, but that's taking time and practice.
So let's talk about your diet for a second. When we talked previously, you said you were jealous of me for being able to lose fat so easily. How do you perceive yourself being different? Like, what does it mean for you to not be able to lose fat as easily, and what do you need to do?
I had a pretty successful fat loss phase just not that long ago, so I don't know if I'm going to have to like take back what I said to you. But I think my just like my baseline, like if I was to just like eat to satiety, like just train as I kind of felt, I just kind of went with like no forcing of anything. I think my level of body fat's always been a bit higher than what I would want it to be. Even when I was playing basketball, even when I was like Mr. Fitness, like I always felt like I had to focus it in and try pretty hard to get lean. However, that last fat loss phase, I dropped like 3 pounds a week quite comfortably.
What made the difference?
I think I just shut the fuck up and got on with it. Like, I just stopped moaning. I found myself like complaining and being like, oh, this is difficult, or this is hard, and fat loss is difficult. Whereas the reality is, like, you just have to tick 3 or 4 boxes every single day and you get there.
Okay, I love that. So you went from not being able to lose body fat easily to losing 3 pounds a week by just shutting up.
Yeah, just by fucking just doing what I knew I needed to do. Like I just like accepted it. Like I just swallowed and like I said, like I wish people knew it takes time. It's not forever. It's a phase. Like you're gonna get through it. And then what was the third one I said?
It can be easier than you think. And I actually wanted to talk about that because I agree. When people sign up, they imagine this as being like a huge, massive commitment where they, like you said, they need to go to the gym 6-7 times a week, do 20,000 steps, not eat anything.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating, the contrast between how they don't need to do that in the beginning and they can get to like a healthy level of body fat, 15 to 20% relatively easily. But what I find is when they get there to 15-20% and now they want to get shredded, they do have to dial it up. You do need to start putting in more. The body starts fighting back a little bit. But at that point, they're not willing to do that anymore sometimes.
Yeah. That's true. I also noticed though, like to completely like counter that is sometimes people are in such a good groove that it's almost effortless for them to put it in. Do you know? Like a thing I always tell any client that I have that goes through a fat loss phase, then goes to a maintenance phase, and then we know we're going to go back to a fat loss phase, I always have to remind them, the way you felt at the end of that first fat loss phase, you're not going to feel like day one of the next fat loss phase. It's going to take the full time until the end, but what will happen is it won't start feeling shit until closer to the end. So like I remember the first time I dieted down for a photo shoot, I was like nervous to feel the way I felt at the end. Like, and I thought I was going to feel like that day one. And I was like full blown nervous. Like I'm not ready to have no energy to like blink slowly, talk slower, be hungry all the time. Like I can remember just not being ready. And then I started and I was like 3 weeks in and I was like, I still feel pretty good. And it wasn't until like 12 weeks in I was like, here's that feeling again.
Yeah, I don't want to be like the tough guy, but I wish more people got to that stage because so many people, like you said as well, just keep complaining about how difficult it is, but they don't actually know what it feels like when they're really lean. Yes. Like you're saying, talk slower, breathe slower, not move, body temperature being down the whole time. They never experience it, and that's the tough part.
Yeah. And that's the thing. For most people, it should never get hard. Like, right, you've worked in gyms for a long time. You'll have just met the guys that are kind of into it. They're bodybuilders, but they don't really change shape. They don't really change body composition. And they start dieting and they're like, oh yeah, man, strength's down the drain already. And you're like, you've fucking been dieting 20 minutes. Like, you're fine. Like, you're not losing any strength. Like, but these things, like, I think that is one of like the flaws of the fitness industry. Like now people are like they've just started at the gym and they're like, yeah, bro, I'm running this new split. And you're like, no, you've just started coming to the gym. Like, calm down.
Yep. And I wanted to circle back to what you said, that there are some people that it's a complete breeze for to diet and they just blast through the whole thing. And I think that's one of the main factors that differentiate between like amazing coaches and the rest of them, that they help clients preserve this momentum. And equally, what differentiates a successful client versus a less successful one, how hung up they are over their mistakes. Because if you have to diet for 20 weeks, some shit will happen. And if you get hung up over it, then you probably what you do after is a response to that something happening will create more damage than the something itself. Whereas if you just step over it, keep the momentum, those are the people that are really successful at dieting pretty fast, getting to the goal without much effort, just preserving momentum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd 100% agree on that. But I guess that's like most things. Like if something goes wrong, like how quickly can you get back on track to just get it going again? Like anything.
Sure.
Like saving money. Let's say you're saving money and something happens. How quickly can you just get back to going back to saving? Say something, business. Let's say something happens in business, you cock something up. How quickly can you just like either sort that problem or just get back on track and pushing the way that you needed to go or going in the direction that you needed to go in? Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, actually. Really good point.
Yeah, that's actually one thing, how quickly you get back on it. And the second big thing is, I think, how long does it take you to take the first step?
Yeah.
Because some people think about taking the first step for longer than it actually takes to do the whole job. I just had a consultation with someone who's been trying to lose 7 kilos for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they didn't sign up.
Yeah. I'm bad for that. I'll be honest. I'm quite bad for like acting straight away. Like I don't think about it a lot. Sometimes I'll just have the good idea. I'll like put it back to the back of my mind. I'll do a bunch of other things. Then I'm like, oh yeah, that good idea. Bring that forward. It's maybe time to do that now. And I'm quite bad for that. So like I've always thought of myself as quite a slow learner.
I don't know. Difference is these people that, for example, this guy, probably one of his main issues has been his body composition / health for the longest time, versus you having 400 ideas and not being able to prioritize all 400 of them. A little bit different. I've seen your screen recording of your Google Keep, your notes with all your ideas and post ideas. It's quite impressive how far you could scroll down.
It's bad. It's gotten worse. There's more.
It's gotten better. That's why you're so good at posting and keeping the consistency.
I appreciate that.
Okay. What's your favorite client case study? Not favorite client, but favorite journey with a client.
So see, when you asked this, I started thinking about everyone that I've ever worked with.
Let me rephrase. Which client did you make the largest impact on their lives and how?
I think if I get into this, I'll start crying because it's like why I do everything. And I don't want to sound like I'm the boy or that. There's people that started with me that were like, I'll never go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym, that I now see at the gym all the time. It's like a big part of their life. There's people that have just been like miserable, upset, and you see them and they're a bit happier. They're like, they actually smile. Like you're saying there's people that I've worked with that have struggled with weight loss and management for years. They do 3 blocks, like they just do 12 weeks with me, and they've got such a good understanding of it that they actually managed to maintain like all the progress that they made. The biggest impact. It's too hard to pick one person. And I'm so proud of that. Like I'm sitting here just now, like the fact that I can't pick one, I'm so proud of. I don't know, you might need to edit this out, but I want to talk to you about it. So I help someone for free every year. And I help them as long as it takes. Like it's someone that I'll either see in the gym and I'll see them like trying and they're fucking trying and it's just not going. I know they're getting it wrong. They're trying to do heaps of cardio. They're doing cardio and then they're trying to do deadlifts straight after it. And I'm like, fuck.
I'm not going to be popular with this question. And because of that, I'm just going to highlight that I actually have had my fair share of clients that I train for free. And right now as well, there are a few. Do you find that these people that you take on for free appreciate the service as much as those that pay for it?
I'm fortunate that they have. However, like I give, and you've seen my content, and if someone was to just read my content and follow through with what I say, like I give that out for free every single day, sometimes twice a day. If people were to just like realize that what I'm telling them is the answer and is the solution, it would help them so much. But I think in that sense, people don't appreciate it because they don't put a lot of value on something that's free. Like our health, our minds, our families, our friends, like people don't put a lot of value on that. People put a lot of value on like a Ferrari, a Lambo, a Rolex watch, a big house, because they cost a lot.
On the other hand, probably these people that you take on for free anyway, they are the ones that need more tailored, more specific advice, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I do it, because normally it's because they say something that's so wrong that I think would actually be unhealthy and it would make their situation worse.
Okay. What's the proudest moment of your coaching career? Is it the same question in a different costume?
Proudest moment. Do you know what? I got asked to speak at high school or like a secondary school not that long ago, and I was really, really proud of that. And then this is kind of another thing I was really proud of recently. I got asked to be the sports scientist for their semi-professional football team in my time, and I'd wanted to do that for like 7 years. So they wanted me to do like it's called like performance preparation. So like warm up, injury prevention, a bit of recovery stuff with the physio, he was a big part of why I really wanted to do it, and then some strength and conditioning to help them. But just with how busy things are just now, I can't fully commit to it, so I'm just able to help from time to time. But that was a big deal. So I've got a couple clients now that were like, well, one of them, I'll talk about one. He knows, and he won't care. There was a guy that like changed my life. He was my level 3 personal trainer instructor. I asked, he was strong. He was skinny, but he was strong. And I was like, I'm bigger than him. How can he do 10 pull-ups and I can only do 8? Like, I can remember being like, what the fuck? And I asked him, I was like, what is it you do? What do you do for training? Because I was like refusing to accept it. And he was like, well, I do strength and conditioning if you want to come along and see it. And then I went along and everybody was stronger than me, but there was like, not to sound sexist around, there was like young girls, there was like, but everybody was stronger than me. And I was like, what?
But this is like over 10 years ago, right?
This was like 15, 16 years ago, yeah.
Right.
And I was just like blown away. So then I got really into strength and conditioning, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a strength coach. I want to work with elite athletes, and I want to get them stronger. But he then said to me, he's like, you should go to college. And I was like, I'm not smart. I'm not intelligent enough. Like I flunked school. Like, and he was like, you are. So you're going to go, and you're going to go to the interview that's in like 2 or 3 days. He was like, you do have to plan a session, pick a sport, do a session plan, and then evaluate it. Another moment where I was presenting, I got a standing ovation at that. So it was like all other applicants. And then when I finished mine, they were all just like clapping. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, maybe I can do this. He ended up being my lecturer. He ended up becoming a good friend. I now coach him. And when he reached out to me, I was like buzzing with that. Proudest moments as coaches. There's seeing people do things, seeing people overcome things, and I see it daily. Some of the messages I get, like daily, like every day, I'm proud. Like I love what I do. I genuinely do, and that's probably the answer that I'm like trying to figure out and find. And as a coach, like calling me a coach, that has more meaning than you probably realize. So I had a basketball coach who called it, like he got called coach. And that's why I've always called myself like a coach as opposed to a personal trainer, because of the background from that, which could make me cry if I spoke more about, so I'm not going to. But yeah, as a coach, like coaching, like I like to think of myself as a coach rather than just a personal trainer. I like to think that I've put myself in a position that I'm slightly more qualified than a personal trainer. I'd like to think of myself more experienced than just a personal trainer. And that's not all personal trainers. There are good people that call themselves personal trainer. I just like the term coach. Maybe it's just because I come from a basketball background.
I think it has a nicer ring to it, sadly.
Yeah.
And I do think that you do actually coach versus other people just being PTs, you know? When you count someone's reps and tell them, okay, one more, come on, bro, and sit next to them on the bench, you can't call yourself a coach.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Okay. So I found some quotes from you that I really liked. And I want to bring those up, and I would like your opinion / elaboration on them. I start with my favorite one. Circling back to being a little bit of a dick. People say they are going on a holiday to rest, relax, and recharge. Being hungover for a week does not really align with all of these.
Yeah. It doesn't, does it? I think there's so many things in society that are just so normalized now that people don't even realize that they're doing it. And that's one of them. And I think this is something that I've gotten quite good at, or like I think I'm getting better at, is I pay attention to what people are saying, and then I try and like relate it back to what they want or what they've just told me they wanted before, or how they think that's healthy, safe, sensible. And I think I'm pretty good at listening to it. And people now are very cautious of what they say around me, because I do listen and I do remember what they've just said. So I think I was maybe on holiday when that happened, and I was training when I was on holiday. And people were like, oh, calm down, man, calm down. But the week before I had a bender, like I'd been out, I'd been boozing, and I felt shit. But I posted about it, I spoke about it. And everyone was like cheering me on and like supporting me. And I was like, why do you support me being feeling shite, but you'll tell me to like take a break and relax when I'm away, recharging, looking after my health? I just think it's, yeah.
It makes people feel better to see people like you, who is their job, just get to their level.
Yeah. So I'm from a small town, and if people do see me out drinking, the first thing they'll ask me is, oh, are you allowed to do that? Or they'll say, how many calories are in that? If I have a takeaway, they'll be like, are you allowed that? Like, it happens all the time, and I think it does.
That's
just like,
so annoying.
Oh, I like that they come and talk to me. Like, I do really like it.
But it's always the same two questions.
But it's always those questions, yeah. Always.
If not eating is your fat loss approach, you're not getting it. Less is less.
We all know that you have to eat less and do more for fat loss. Like, that is like, it is that simple. It's maybe a bit confusing for some people. And then just not eating is not less. That's cutting out completely. I have friends that tell me, yeah, I'm just gonna fast until the evening, or I'm just gonna have one meal a day because it makes it easier for me to be in a calorie deficit. Like, I get that could be your approach. However, if you're just deciding that like you're going to starve yourself, you're understanding eating less calories or eating no calories, but you're not understanding living healthy. Like, living healthy is eating. It's enjoying food. It's having fun with food. It's being social with food. And food can be more than just calories and energy. It can be comfort. It can be enjoyment. It can be a bit of a feast and a gorge and a bit over the top. It can be social. It can be way more. So if you're just trying to cut food out of your life, you're going to die, unfortunately. Or like long term. You have to cut it out for long term, if that makes sense. If you were hoping that was to be related to fasting, it's not quite. It's just that there are people that tell me, I'm not going to eat.
Yeah, no. I knew the context. It's about people just deciding to not eat. It's the same as I recently wrote a summary on Ozempic.
Yeah.
Which is basically, it suppresses your hunger so you can't eat.
That's it.
Right? Or you can eat very little only. But like, we all know that starving is not going to make you super pretty or super healthy, right? So in order for you to get a good result with Ozempic, you need to apply the same principles. Sleeping more so you preserve your lean mass. Going to the gym so you preserve your lean mass. Hitting your protein. And if you just applied these without the Ozempic, you would have gone into the goal anyway.
Exactly. I do think there are benefits to it for some people. However, people that are taking it and starting, like, you need to understand that fat loss is built on habits, behaviors, lifestyle, mindset, and your environment. And if you don't change any of those things and then just jump on Ozempic, when you come off Ozempic, you're gonna go back to where you were. Some of the things that worry me, and this will make you laugh. So this kind of is similar to the holiday thing that you just said. The recent studies that they've done with Ozempic, right? They got people to just control their calories, and then they got people to take Ozempic. And obviously they just weren't able to eat as much, so they lost weight. There was a small percent of people that managed to keep the weight off that just took the, I'll just eat calorie controlled, and it was a small percent. It was actually a smaller percent that kept it off with the Ozempic, but the Ozempic bunch also noticed and noted sore heads a lot of the time, poor digestion, like terrible bowel movements, like it was like diarrhea or it was like constipation. And I always think, like, people are willing to push themselves that hard to just feel shite in hope that it makes things easier. But I also think as well, and this is maybe a totally off on tangent, fat loss doesn't feel like anything. It's very underwhelming. And the fact that these people, when they take Ozempic, they feel something, whether it be the fact they feel shite, is it signals back that something's happening.
True. Same as what you said about soreness, right? Yeah, trashing themselves in the gym and then being unable to move.
Yeah. People think, oh, well, no pain, no gain. Whereas it doesn't really work like that. And they're actually starting to say now that, like, sweating and pain are not signs of good workouts at all. Like, you don't need those things.
Yeah, wait until these people discover how underwhelming building muscle is, because losing fat is an exciting, fun, and quick ride in comparison.
So the only thing I like about gaining muscle is when you are peak off season, you look horrendous. You look like a walrus, but you're strong. Like you can pick, like you feel like you can pick anything up. The only time you're happy is when you've got weight in your hand. Like that is it.
Yeah, but you do look horrendous as soon as you take the top off. So are you actually preparing for men's physique now? Or I didn't really keep up with your Instagram recently. I just, not against you, just any Instagram really.
Yeah, no, I don't. I try not to talk too much about my own journey because I don't want to be an influencer and I don't want to be like the Thom Sykes show. I want it to be a part of Thrive and you get good shit happening. You don't need to Thomas like. So I try not to talk too much about myself on social media. I'm trying to talk less about myself. I am. I don't start prep though until maybe the start of next year. I was going to do a show in March, but I just decided it wasn't the right time. I've got a client that's going to compete at the end of March, and I'd rather give him 100% with coaching than me have to give like say 70% to my own thing and then 30 to him, or vice versa. Like I was like, I'd rather do him properly and then do my own thing properly as well. But yeah, I'm going to be competing again next year, and I'm putting kind of all my eggs in one basket. And I know that people would say that's stupid in bodybuilding, but like I am going all in. The goal is to try and win as much as I can. The goal is to try and get pro cards. I'd like to win number 1 in the world. Like I'm fucking going for it.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you last few years you've been working on bringing your chest up, right?
Yeah. Fuck.
How has that been?
Oh, it don't even look like it's changed. It will have. It's changed.
Still pressing the 50s though, right?
Oh, I've not been. Well, I'm going to try tomorrow. I'm going to try and pick the 50s up again tomorrow. I used to be able to press a fair bit more than that, but my technique wasn't good. Like you'll see when I come down to London, if we do chest pressing, you'll see that like I can press with the front of my shoulder. Like I can press a lot through the shoulder, but my pec doesn't really fire up. So when I try and just use my pec, I'm like not nearly as strong as what I look like I should be, because you'll see as well, I'm like 92 kilos.
What I'm gonna see is you warming up with my working weights, and that's gonna be disappointing enough.
Nah, that's not going to happen, man. I swear. Yeah, I'm going to compete next year. Big year. I'm going to have probably quite a big season, and I'm chasing a lot. Like I am. And they say you shouldn't do this, but it excites me doing it, so it makes me more motivated and driven and like wanting to do it.
I know nothing about bodybuilding. Does this mean that you get lean and then you stay lean and you just keep pulling show after show and stay in condition?
So ideally, yes. But what might end up happening is I might end up doing a show a little bit earlier, so I'm not 100% on the mark. Like I'll maybe need to get a little bit leaner, or I'll need to get my peaking protocol a bit better. So you do like like boxers get rid of ring rust? Like they'll have like a kind of like lower standard fight. Like not that the standard would be lower in that show. It's just that show is not like one of my favorites, or it's not like, it doesn't mean heaps to me. Which also makes me sound like an ass, but you do these like kind of smaller shows, and you just kind of get on the stage, get rid of that ring rust, or get posing again.
Classic physique?
No, men's physique.
I don't know why I even asked that. I have no idea what the difference is.
So men's physique wear like the board shorts.
Okay.
Do you like the long shorts? Classic physique, you wear like a trunk. It's not like the thong. It's like a trunk. So I don't get judged. I get judged on my balance. Like, are my legs big enough? Whereas in classic, you get judged on your legs, like the separation, the size of them, the symmetry of them. I don't get judged on my legs like that.
And we won't get to see your butt cheeks.
No. I might do a video towards the end because I'm planning on getting absolutely shredded. So, and when you know someone's shredded when their butt cheeks are like almonds.
Glutes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why do you refrain from talking about your journey? Do you not find that it's like the best buy-in for clients? They just sort of want to copy you. It builds your authority. What do you think?
I think it's difficult for me because I don't see myself as a bodybuilder, although I do bodybuilding. I see myself more as like a physical culturist. Like I like powerlifting, I like Olympic weightlifting, I like sprinting the Olympics, I like sports. Like I like it all. It's just my thing just now is bodybuilding. So in maybe a year's time, I might try and do a high rocks. I might try and run a marathon. Like I just like setting physical challenges and going after them. So it can be a bit confusing for people. And I also think a lot of people think that I just coach bodybuilders and it puts them off. Whereas I'm far more like a fat loss or like a Gen Pop client, coach. So me sharing my own story, I also think there is parts of it that, like, first phase of it, like, a lot of people used to call me arrogant, like when I was young, and it used to really hurt my feelings. Like, I used to, because I didn't think I was better than anybody. I didn't ever think that. I just always had a self-belief that, like, right, I can do this, I will figure it out, and I'll keep trying until I figure it out. Like, I taught myself how to ride a bike. Like, I'm 90% sure I taught myself how to swim. Like, I just have this, like, I'm going to do it. Like, I am going to do it, and I'm going to keep doing it until I get good at it. I've done it with basketball, I've done it with skateboarding. I never got really good at skateboarding, but I was, like, getting better. Like, I was always getting better. Basketball, I was never great, but I was okay. And I was at my best when I was, like, really young, because I just went all in on it and I didn't care about anybody else. And then I started to care about girls and being cool and trying to fit in. And I kind of shied away from the basketball, which is, if I could go back to my younger self and say, like, look, these people aren't going to matter, I would bloody do that as well in a heartbeat. But I don't really like to talk about myself in case people think it is that, like, arrogance again. And the thing, like I said at the very back at the start, like, sometimes people don't like seeing other people trying as hard as I have to. But I think because I've tried as hard as I possibly can for so long, I can make trying hard not look as hard as it sometimes is. Does that make sense? Like,
It does.
Like, trying hard's now my normal.
You're good at the sucky stuff.
I've fucking forced myself to get better at it.
How many times have you dieted down for, like, proper lean?
2019, I done a photo shoot, and then 2021 I competed, and then I've been in an off season pretty much since 2021, or a gaining phase, you would call it.
Yeah, every time it's easier, right?
Oh,
every time you do it.
Every time, it's easier, and again, I think it's because you expect it to be like the end at the start, and it's not, and then you're like, I can do this, and then when it gets hard, you're like, oh yeah, this is hard, but it's almost like it doesn't happen until like a week later, each time you do it. So let's say you diet for 12 weeks. The first time you do it, like week 8's difficult. The next time you do it, it's week 9 starts getting difficult. Then week 10. In 2021, I only had a few hard days. In 2019, I had like what felt like 3 months of hard. Like, it was, like, I can remember I kept asking my coach, like, surely I shouldn't feel like this. We've gone too far. Like, we've pushed my body too far. I surely shouldn't still be eating the same foods. I should be mixing it up. And he was like, mate, it's working, like, just keep it going. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then the second time I was like, right, I know what works, just stick to it.
That's actually a very good point. How do you feel about variety in dieting versus just eating the same things?
So if you're a beginner, your habits, behaviors, lifestyle, environment, and mindset are probably going to be used to a little bit more variety than what you probably need. So you're best to maybe start with a bit more variety than what, in time, you realize you don't need. That was one of the biggest lessons that I got after the first time I dieted. I was like, I use food to reward myself. I always thought I needed like a heap of variety. Whereas once you start to get like a bit of structure, and actually when I diet myself, I just go on a meal plan. I just find it easier now. But way back when I started, because I wanted variety, because I felt so like comfortable with variety, because my taste buds were programmed to get variety, it made it a little bit easier to begin with. But whereas now, I prefer, personally, me doing it, I prefer a meal plan. It just makes it easier for me. But I think
same exact thing for me. Yeah,
depending on who you are, I don't like thinking about like what's going to fit into my calories, how do I make that recipe? Like, I don't follow recipe books either. I just have like nicely seasoned foods, perfectly cooked. Like, I've gotten down how to air fry chips really well. I know how to cook a chicken breast really, really well. I know how to cook my eggs well. Like, but all these things digest well, make me feel good, taste great to me, that I can just stick to the same thing.
Exactly. I think instead of variety, which to me just means that you constantly have to make these micro decisions and keep adjusting your food in order to hit those targets, instead, if you just figure out as early as possible what those foods are that keep you full, you like eating because they taste nice, and you just repeat from there. It's so much more simple.
Yeah. A lot of the time with clients, what I try and get them to learn is like, right, let's have 3 options for breakfast that are all roughly the same calories. Let's then figure out 3 options for lunch, 3 options for evening meals, and then a couple like snacks that you can sprinkle in. You can make, well, I don't even know the maths, but someone will be way more clever than I am, how many combinations there are for different days with 3, 3, 3, and then a couple extra snack. Like, and then you throw in like a free meal or a meal off plan, and you add your variety to that. Like, have something different every week for that. Like, you've got so much variety there that if you're struggling to stick to that, you maybe just need to look at that's maybe where you need to start.
It's funny because we're all obviously friends, and that is built on this foundation of a mutual understanding of how this process should work, right? If we had that different ideas on how you should be dieting or how to coach people, we probably wouldn't understand each other as well. Mm-hmm. But we've never really seen into each other's program. But I do the same thing. For us as well, it's a few breakfast options, a few lunch options, snack, dinner, and then you just pretty much rotate between those. Yeah. And I think actually variety, it's not like most people's food is that varied before they even join. They just find those like 6 foods that they like, and it's always those same things. So why should this be different?
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. They call it the paradox of choice, don't they? Like, if you get a big menu in a restaurant, you're like, oh, I don't know what to pick. I don't know what to pick. And you're looking and you're like, and then the waitress or the waiter comes over and you're like, oh, I'll take that. And as soon as they go, you're like, I don't really want that. I wanted. And like you were saying, like, I hate having to like, okay, right, I want to have, let's say, chicken burger for my tea. It's got X amount of grams of fat, protein, carbs in it. Okay, then I need to change my breakfast so that I can fit that in. Okay, right, now my lunch is going to need to get tweaked slightly because I know that breakfast doesn't fill me very much, so I need to tweak lunch so I'm full until... I just couldn't be bothered with that either.
Not to mention, most people waste the first 4 weeks trying to experiment with this and never actually getting it right. And if they do get it right, the whole process takes 3 times as much, the whole planning.
Yeah. Here's an analogy that I've just made up on the spot, right? It just came into my head. Like, if I wanted to come from Arbroath to London on the train, I get on the train and I stay on the train until London. I don't jump off at every single stop to just see so I can get off and on the train. Like, get on the train, get going with it, and then just let it be as easy as possible. When you're constantly chopping and changing and you're going the same direction anyway, like, why make it take longer?
Well, except that most people just jump off and they get on a train going back north with their wrong planning, and then they come back down. So yeah, it's easier to just stay in the same train.
Yeah.
Okay, next quote. If you're someone looking to lose fat and you've struggled with it a few times in the past, you should be putting all your effort into remembering that you want to lose fat.
Yeah.
Again, so good.
Again, like, I just think people that like struggle, what they do is they'll get to like Friday. Drinks, yeah, let's just have drinks. You want takeaways? We'll just get a takeaway. Wake up on Saturday, feel crap. Oh, it's the weekend. I'm not feeling great. You know what? Actually, I'll have a McDonald's breakfast. We'll go for a big freaking Starbucks coffee. It's like 1,000 calories. I might as well have a muffin with it as well. Drinks for lunch, and like. People that struggle with fat loss just forget. They forget that they want to lose fat. They do. And they, like, instead of just being like, fucked it yesterday, let's try again today. I fucked it again, let's try again. They're like, well, that's 2 days. I might as well just wait till Monday. It's
also a constant need to reward themselves, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I did 3 days of dieting. Now it's time for a little bit of chocolate and a glass of wine and this and that. And then... Mm-hmm. Most likely it puts them in a mindset where, again, they just follow with the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole process, just working is okay. It being hard should be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when it's hard at the start, it's just remembering that you're trying to lose fat. Like, it's so easy to just think, like, oh, this is difficult, I'll pack it in. That doesn't lead to anything. It just puts you back to the start. And it maybe sounds a bit like, oh, it's not that easy, Thomas. If you keep thinking, I'm trying to lose fat, I'm trying to lose fat, but not unhealthily. Like I said, like my other quote, like if your approach is to not eat, you're not getting health and fitness. You're not getting healthy fat loss. You're not getting it. Like it needs to be within calories. You need to do certain things that are going to make it a little bit easier. If you just keep reminding yourself, you just won't give up.
Yeah, ultimately it's just consistency, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Sadly. Little game, 3x3.
Okay.
3 questions, all of them with 3 answers. First one, who would be your 3 dream dinner guests if you could invite 3 people to ever have lived to have dinner with you, and why?
Right, so this gets hard because it depends what I want this dinner party to turn into, or what I want to come away from it.
If you're turning it into a party, I would be upset.
Because that's what I think I would want it to end up being. I think to get some insight, so 3 people, and I've thought about this so many fucking times, and now that I'm sitting here, my mind's going blank. I reckon I'd probably want arty people as opposed to like intelligent, so like creative minds instead of intelligent. But then now that I'm saying that, it would be difficult to have a conversation with 3 people that were very, very creative, because they would all probably maybe be slightly eccentric as well, and like it would be difficult to like navigate. I can't even say my best mates because I've got a couple more than 3. I think Freddie Mercury is probably one of the coolest people to have graced this earth. I'd quite like to sit and have a chat with him.
I didn't expect that. Okay. Why?
I think anybody that can be like unapologetically themselves I'm going to want them there, because they're going to be cool. And the pinnacle of cool is just being you. Like anybody that everybody looks up to. Like if someone's like pop culture, or all they've done is just completely be themselves, whether it be that they've been like molded by like someone or whatever, like they're just being themselves. Like anybody that people look up to. I would love to have Michael Jordan there, but I would maybe switch Michael Jordan for Derrick Rose.
I don't know who that is.
So Derrick Rose was also a basketball player that played for Chicago Bulls, that won Rookie of the Year, first year in, second year, I think he won MVP, took his team to the finals. He was unbelievable, but he had a really bad knee injury, and as soon as he recovered, the first game back, his other knee went.
I heard about him. You ended your basketball as well because of an injury, right?
No, I just ended it because I was crap. I'm going to go with this, right? I'm just going to commit. This is who I'm going to say. Freddie Mercury, Derrick Rose, Stephen Hawkins. I think Stephen Hawkins would just be good fun. I wouldn't understand anything, like all the physics and stuff he wanted to talk about, but I just think he would be good fun. I think he would crack jokes. I think he would just... Because he was like, he was quite posh, wasn't he? Like he was quite a posh gentleman before it was it MEMS? I can't remember, whichever one kicked in. 3's hard. It needs to be more than 3. But
yeah, MS, yeah.
I'd probably be with those 3.
That's an interesting table, though.
I'm sure I've actually, in my notes, I think I've got a list of people that I would be, but I'm not going to look. I'm going to do that off the top of my head.
3 bucket list items. 3 things you want to accomplish before or do before the end, and why?
So there's like there's a lot of things I'd like to do. A lot. In fact, too many. There's also things that like, I'm someone, and I was talking to someone about this just the other day, and if she's listening, you're going to do amazing things. You'll know who you are when I talk about this. You're going to do amazing things. You just need to keep working towards it, and you need to put some work in and pursue it. Like me and this person, we were talking about this the other day. Like I'm quite laid back and free flowy. And what can happen is I can be going this way, and then something will happen and it'll change my direction or trajectory, however you want to say it. But I'll still put my all in to make it happen. I don't always have like definitive goals. I almost have like a hub that has spokes coming off of it. And each spoke has like, it's not the same thing. But like the goal is to help people. Like I really want it to be, and I'd like to be recognized as someone that's helped people. But bucket list things, I'd like to get to a point of like wealth where I can take my closest friends and one of my other friends said this, and I just thought it was fucking brilliant. To all the finals of sports events, so like say like the Olympics, the NFL, NBA, hockey, World Cup, like I'd like to be like in a financial place where like I was able to take us there and we had like a good time. Like that'd be fucking unbelievable to me. I'd like to see it. Is this counted as one? I'd love to see the wonders of the world. Like, do you know, like the natural wonders of the world?
Yeah, sure. Counts as one.
I'd like to see all of them. I'd like, and if this falls back to the help thing, like I'd like to have created something that's going to help young men's mental health, like so less young men kill themselves. I'd like to give them like a route or a path or a different thing that's not just what you're supposed to do. It's almost an understanding of what they can do and how they could just be themselves. And in that as well, like I'd like there to be a place that like whatever it is I'm creating, it's got job opportunities, it's got like support opportunities, it's got something that can help prevent suicide, depression, unhealthy. Like I want to create something. It's not quite what it is yet, but I'm definitely on the path for it with TS Health and Fitness and like everything I'm trying to do with it. But I know how
and talking at schools and everything.
Yeah, like I know how big it could be. I just need to keep working at it to get it as big as it could be.
Right. 3 favorite things about yourself.
Oh man, I thought about this fucking all day because this one's I've seen as well. Right, 3 favorite things about myself. I'd like to believe I am a genuinely good person. And I agree. That. And I like that. I feel like I could cry again. Fuck. Fucking hell, I didn't expect to get emotional. Jesus Christ, not like this anyway.
You've been emotional this whole time.
Yeah. I think that's definitely one of my favorite things about myself. Like, I know.
I mean, that's quite an accomplishment, right?
Yeah. It's hard. It is a hard thing to do. It genuinely is. Because people either don't believe it, like they think it's a front or you're like faking it. But I know I am. Oh, fucking hell, I didn't expect to cry like this.
But listen, I feel like this ties back with what you said about your childhood and being called arrogant. Yeah. So I'm just going to say it one more time. Like there aren't many people that are like as straightforward, genuine as you are. Like I'm not just like here to lick your ass, honestly, but that's why I started with this intro, because it's so clear that you're in this to help other people.
Yeah. No, I am. Right, another thing. I could definitely talk more about that, but I don't want to keep crying. So, other favourite thing about myself, I don't mind being on my own. Like, I actually quite like my own company. And I think it's because of the way my brain works. And if you let me, like, explain this. Anytime I think about something, right, it comes up like an image of a spider diagram almost. So, like, it'll be the main idea, and then it'll be, like, everything, and it's all at once. So I can, like, spend time thinking about things, and it doesn't feel boring because I know there's all these arms and legs to that idea. And I quite like that. Like, whether I'm on the train on my own, whether I'm walking the dog on my own, whether I'm just sat in my conservatory looking out at the sea, like, I feel quite comfortable just being by myself. I can go out for tea on my own. I can go eat in a restaurant on my own. I can go for a coffee on my own. I don't mind. And then third thing, I think it's, do you know what? This was when I was walking, I was thinking about it. I was like, it's quite a hard thing for me personally to think about things that are like I like or positives or pros about myself, because I'm just so like, I'm just go. Do you know what I mean? I don't really think about me. I just do what I think's like the right thing to do. Something else that I love about myself.
Arnold says something similar about when he was trying to achieve his goals, and he was obviously going ballistic with bodybuilding and the movies and everything, and personal challenges came, and he was just like, he just didn't have time for that. He was in go mode.
Mm-hmm. It keeps coming back, like when I'm thinking about everything, and it's kind of like a flick book. Like there's all these ideas coming, but I keep coming back. I like that I can talk to anyone. Actually, I can give a genuine compliment. I'm good at complimenting people. So I guess if you could tie those two together, if I give someone a compliment, I can tell they take it the way that I mean it.
Okay.
Because sometimes a compliment can come across a bit flirty or a bit like you are kissing someone's ass, you know, like it can. And I think, nah, I'd probably pick how good I am at speak. I like that I can speak to anyone. Right, no more crying. You're not allowed to make me cry again.
Okay. To finish it off, rapid fire questions. Ready? A book everyone should read.
There is genuinely so many. And that's why I've got this bloody big massive bookshelf built up. I really
with no
like
books on it at all.
Okay, yeah, with nothing on it because I'm waiting to paint it. So a book that completely changed my life. It's just a small book. I listened to an audiobook but then got it. Pardon me. The Strangest Secret. Not This Secret, The Strangest Secret. It's all about, the whole purpose of it is like believing you can achieve. And it's like we're saying, like, if you keep something at the forefront of your mind, like, you will get it. You'll eventually get it. You have to. You're not going to just get it or just think it into existence. Or you can, but if you keep thinking about what it is that you want, you'll start to eventually do what needs done to get it. And that book, like, just completely changed my perception on, like, working on myself, like, on, like, why can't I do it? And there's a bunch of quotes in that book that I've probably used in thousands of posts. But, like, it's just so good. And one of my favorite ones in it is, like, the mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it will grow. So if you plant negativity, what can you expect other than negativity? So if you're like waking up in the morning, reading the newspaper, watching the news, you're scrolling through social media of accounts that you feel jealous about or you envy, like, you're just planting negativity, and that's how your day's going to go. Whereas if you plant positivity, and I don't know if you know this, David, or I've ever told you, absolutely everything that I do on social media has more than just one reason for it. So every morning I share something and I try and make it as positive as I possibly can, in case it's the first thing that someone reads. I want it to be that it has a positive impact. I've been putting up pictures now that are always either sunrises or it's a sunny day, because I want it to be positivity. It feeds into that so people see it and it makes them feel a bit better. When I post things, I try not make it entertaining, because I don't want people to stay on their phones. I want it to be either slightly, it gets the point across, but then it gets a bit boring, so they come off their phone. I know that they probably just scroll past me, but I hope that they just come off their phone. Everything.
Dopamine-free value providing.
I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help people on deeper levels. But The Strangest Secret, 100%.
Nice. A guilty pleasure.
I like quite a lot of dance music. And I feel weird saying that, but dance music, is that it? Guilty pleasure. I don't feel guilty about that, but like some of the music.
This guy is so pure that his guiltiest thing is dance music.
No. Guilty pleasure. Probably
whatever, we roll with it. Favorite exercise in the gym?
Anything to do with like my delts. Lateral raises. Anything lateral raise. Cuffed, dumbbell, crucifix, any. I love lateral raises.
Habit that you're proud of being consistent with?
Reading. 100% reading.
It's bedtime reading, right, for you?
I try and read any chance I get. Like I try to, but I don't have a lot of time. But if I get some downtime, I'll try and read. And fun fact, when I was in primary school, they thought I was like full-blown dyslexic, but I was just lazy. I just couldn't. I knew what everyone said. I just couldn't be bothered. But I always wanted to be a reader. I always wanted to be someone that could read, and I couldn't do it until way later in life. Like when I went to uni, I found it really hard reading journals because I never read. And then I was like, right, no, I'm going to become someone that reads. I'm going to become someone that, like, if I'm reading a book, they're not like, you're reading a book. Like, they would expect it.
Right. A thing under 100 pounds that you cannot live without?
I feel unbelievably content when I have coffee in my house. Coffee beans. Like, unbelievably content. Like, we've got, I think, 3 or 4 different types of beans downstairs, and I just feel so like, I can't even fully explain it. It like feels like I've made it. Does that make sense? Like, it's like it's just such a tiny thing, but I'm just so grateful for it.
Are you a psychopath that grinds manually or with a machine?
So if I'm feeling very psychopath, yes.
That's why you don't have time to read.
I was full-blown psychopath for a long time. But hey, right, listen here. Again, another thing that I'd done that had a deeper reason than just being a psychopath. I always thought, like, if I can do one thing that's difficult but has a reward at the end of it, first thing in the day, it's going to set me up to want to just do tasks to get outcomes. So I made myself grind them. Because I was like, there's the best tasting coffee you're ever going to have is going to come if you just fucking persevere through grinding these beans. And I used to do that. But now I'm a bit lazy, so I got a wedding gift from one of my best friends, a Sage Barista Express, so it grinds the beans for me.
I did see that. Nice. Favorite quote?
I know what it is. I know what it is. How do I get
Resolution is poo-poo. What's that?
Oh, no. It says, keep going.
What does it say? Oh, wow. So original.
So original.
Actually,
I honestly think the solution to everything, just keep going. I am a walking cliche, David. I am a walking cliche. But keep going. That must be one of my favorites.
You're right. It is the solution to everything. Okay, fine. One lifeline or like pivotal defining life moment. Is that your coach that you mentioned earlier? Your level 3 PT coach?
So I think I've got a few of these. That basketball coach that I spoke about earlier on, there was John Grant, Keith Ritchie, Nick Strange. I was a little shit when I was young. And I used to get kicked off the basketball team regularly, but they always let me come back. And I think I learned a lot from them about being like a good man or trying to become a better man. I just couldn't do it fast enough and it's like that wisdom thing that we were talking about at the start. Like, I wanted to be a good man when I was young. Like, I knew I wanted to be, but I couldn't do it at the time. And I just couldn't figure out. And I think they taught me a lot more about that than. And then meeting Lisa was definitely one. Definitely. It just matured me so much faster than like if I hadn't met her. And it worked. It was like the first, like, I had ex-girlfriends before, nothing like mega serious, but like they were all lovely girls. They like honestly, all sweethearts. And I would stop and speak to all of them. I don't think I've actually got like an ex or like someone that I was, I don't know, seeing or anything that I wouldn't stop and speak to. But it just was never like, I could never just completely be myself until I met Lisa. And then I met Lisa and it was just so effortless and so just, that's definitely one of them. There's so many people. Mike Blackburn, the host family that I lived with in America, Pam Blackburn. So many times, like my mum and dad, there's been so many times with my mum and dad. I'll tell you, here's another one, and I need to speak about this. I really didn't get on with my sister, right? Like, she just used to drive me nuts. Like, she just annoyed me. But see, the second she became a mum, I just felt this unbelievable love for her. Like, it was like all the love I was supposed to have ever felt about her. As soon as she was like holding her kids and she just took to it perfectly, I was just like, I'm in awe. You're my, like, this is unbelievable. That was another moment. Like, I've got a lot of moments like that. There's like people that I meet, and I think I meet people for certain reasons. And I don't know if I believe in destiny, fate, energies. I don't know if I believe in a God or anything like that, right? But I just think that there's times some things do just happen for like a purpose or a reason, and it just shows you. It just shows you something, or it gives you something.
My new favorite Eastern philosophy is, I don't know, I think it's some either Chinese or Japanese, I'm butchering it already, but when they believe that it's always the same people that you interact with in life, and after your life you sort of come together and you decide what you want to learn and how you want the others to take on roles, so you can like collectively learn different things. So for example, if you want to learn, I don't know, patience, then you get maybe a really, really difficult child, and it's always the same souls sort of wandering in different positions. I'm not saying I believe it, but it's a nice idea.
Yeah, lovely idea.
Favorite cuisine?
I do like pizza.
Come on, man. Come on. Pizza is not even a cuisine. Day in your life, 5 years from now.
What will it look like?
Yeah.
Probably just as fucking busy as it is just now.
Probably more busy.
Probably more busy. Ideally, right? I'm going to have at least 5 coaches working on the TSL fitness. I'll potentially have 3 to 4, I would say more than 2, gyms. My house will be closer to where I want it to be. This is like a personal goal, and I just want to have it. I don't want to have it for any other reason. I just want to experience it. I'll have an old Porsche 911. It'll either be black or like racing green. I'll be close to that financial position where I can take all my friends to the final sports things.
Wait, so now it's all your friends, not just the closest friend?
All my closest friends. I don't have a big friend circle. I got a lot of pals. I got a lot of people that I speak to, but like I've got like my friends. I'll still be coaching. I do still want to be coaching. Happy. If like just now I'm riding this like content, happy wave that I've got, and like if I can feel like this for a long time, I'm gonna be a lucky man. So hopefully I feel like this. Hopefully I've still got just as much hair. Hopefully I don't look too much older. And I'll hope
you haven't really aged in the last few years.
Mate, I feel like I've really aged this past 2-3 years. I used to be a bit of a baby face. Now I'm like old looking.
I can never tell if you're aging or if it's your constant shape shifting of throwing 20 kilos on and off you.
To
me, you're still a baby face.
Appreciate that.
Challenge you've overcome.
There's been a lot. And this is something that if anybody's listening that's maybe stuck in a bit of a rut, like a challenge doesn't mean it's the end, and it doesn't mean that like, it doesn't even mean you have to solve it sometimes. Sometimes it just means that it's like just don't give up. Like, just keep going. Keep going. Yeah. Like, I think it's actually song lyrics. I think Mike Skinner said it. From The Streets. You ever heard of them? So there's a group called The Streets, and I'm sure he said that, and this is where I stole it from, but like, I fail more times than people try. Like, I cock up a lot of things over the day, but I've just gotten better at being able to like not completely fuck it, or like be able to like sort it faster. But that's taken a bit of time and practice. I'd say, like, I know it's such a like, I don't know, like my own ego has probably been, and I still think I've got to work on this. Like, there's still challenges with myself. Like, I still think I sometimes worry about ridiculous things because of how it'll make me look or whatever. I've changed myself. I've not changed myself. So I set out a while ago to achieve a few goals purely because I wanted to see who they would make me become. And there's a couple that I've still not achieved, but it's because I'm not the man yet. And I think like some of those challenges, like the challenges of like accepting that like, right, I can't do this. I'm going to have to learn something new. I'm going to have to be someone different. I'm going to have to figure something else out. Like they're some of the proudest challenges like I've overcome. Like there's stuff that's happened to me this past year that like, if you'd seen me maybe 2 years ago, I would have just crumbled. Probably had a mental breakdown, probably like just packed in, threw the toys out the pram, and I'm not doing this, fuck yous all. Like taking over a gym was pretty tough. That was pretty hard. Things not working with the coaches that I had, because they were both like my dream coaches from when I started TS Health and Fitness Tavern under the brand, and it didn't work. That was pretty hard to go through. But again, I didn't actually solve that problem. I just managed to figure out how to get myself to keep going. Does that make sense? Because that's maybe not the answer that people would expect with a challenge. Like they would expect some sort of like.
No, I think it's a universal.
Yeah, like they
I think it's a great universal answer. That you just keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Exactly. You laughed at that as well.
A thought constantly on your mind nowadays.
Win. Like, it's on my mind constantly. Win.
Win?
It's normally directed towards bodybuilding. I think constantly, be a pro. Like, be a pro. I write it down every day. Be a pro. I also write no one. Because, and I say it myself, no one cares, work harder. But no one is also number one. So I think that constantly. I think that constantly.
Why the sudden desire to be a pro? I never really heard you talk about this before.
I think I've wanted it for a while. So I've always wanted to be good at something. I've always wanted it. Like, I've always wanted to have that, like I did it. I was good enough to do it. I was this. Like, I achieved. And it's always been with sport. It's always been like, I want to be a professional basketball player. I want to be a professional skateboarder, rollerblader. I wanted to qualify for the Commonwealth Games in Olympic weightlifting. Like, I always wanted that. And then when I got into the men's physique, and a lot of the feedback that I was getting was I've got a lot of potential, but I don't think anybody knew how old I was. That I was like, I don't want to be told I had potential. I want to be told I was good. So I just kind of like had it in my head. As soon as I stepped off stage 2021, I was like, I'm going to do everything to get it to the point where, like, I win. I like beating people. This is the psychopath in me. I don't want to just show up on the day, nobody shows up, I get the gold medal. I want it to be that the bests are there and I beat them.
It's hard to see this line up with how I know you as just super, super pure, super genuine. But you always do tell me about this side of yours.
There is. And it's like, it's for me. It's for me more than anything. Like, what I do, the way I talk to myself, I massively support myself. Like, I cheer myself. I am like my own biggest cheerleader. Like, I'm constantly saying, like, you fucking can do it, man. Just, you have to keep going. You have to try. Like, don't let this beat you. Like, give it your all. And then I also say to myself, like, it's not fucking getting given to you. Like, you need to earn it. I don't ever want to be compared to other people. I don't want to ever, like, but I feel like I've always had that, like, do you know how people talk about, like, that Mamba mentality, like Kobe Bryant, like, I'll do this. Like, I've always kind of thought about that. Like, I've always thought, like, a lot of the Kobe Bryant videos that I watch, and, like, I don't think I'm like a Kobe Bryant, but nobody would have thought Kobe Bryant was a Kobe Bryant until he'd done what he did. Like, they would have all just said, oh, you're a psychopath, like that specky Scottish lad, Thomas, like, if he didn't do what he did. And I kind of want it to be that, like, my crazy makes more sense once, like, I achieve this, like, higher level. Like, does that make sense? So that's in me. And you'll see, when we train together, you'll see I'll get a little bit competitive. Probably not, like, ridiculous, but, like, I'll get a little bit competitive. You maybe see me have a little word with myself from time to time. You'll see me close my eyes. You'll see, like...
I will be so happy if it's actually a competition, because it doesn't look like it's going to be. You're just going to wash me off completely in 3 weeks.
I'm definitely not taking my top off next year. Jesus Christ. I've seen you and your pals stand there getting your topless selfies. I'm definitely not doing that.
At least we have to be good at something. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Thom Sykes, where can people find you? Instagram at TS Health and Fitness.
So,
where else?
Thom_TSHF. Facebook, we've got a website. We've got a YouTube channel. I think if you just type TS Health and Fitness in all of them, we should pop up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me, David. I did not expect to cry either, so I appreciate that.
This was awesome. Thank you. Okay, see you soon. Bye.